On the 11th of September 2001, the United States of America suffered 4 attacks that were coordinated and planned extensively, where 4 commercial aircrafts, 2 American airline planes and 2 United Airline planes were hijacked and flew into the World Trade Centers, North and South Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, respectively. These attacks were supposedly organized by the Islamist militant group, Al-Qaeda, making it a terrorist attack. This was the news that the media and the government showed almost all around the world. Most of the students in this class were about 10 or 11 years old at that time. At that age, was it ever made clear the reason for the attack? Did you understand what was going on? Or do you remember a horrible event that happened, where planes flew into a building and many people died? Because this is what I was certainly told and thought when I was at that age. There are many conspiracy theories concerning the 9/11 attacks, regarding national security and global security. Most of these conspiracy theories are just theories. But once there is evidence and proof for a conspiracy, it becomes a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory. The big question is, who is to blame for this tragedy that cost around 3,000 innocent lives? It has been nearly 11 years since the attack, and more evidence and investigations have proved that there are faults with the 9/11 report and evidence provided by the Congress and government of the USA. First, let's look at the facts. On September 11, 2001, 4 events happened within 1 hour and 15 minutes of each one another. At 8:45 in the morning, Eastern Time, American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. And 18 minutes later, at 3 minutes past 9, the United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:43 a.m., American Airlines number 77 crashed into the Pentagon. This crash has caused many controversial issues. First, let's look at the diagram of the airplane and the hole that the crash made. So basically, the plane that crashed into the Pentagon was a 757 Boeing airplane, and its length was 158 meters, and the length from the nose of the plane to the tail of the plane was 47.3 meters. Now, the crash site, this is the Pentagon. The question is, how can a Boeing 757 make a hole that is smaller than the actual aircraft? If you see the whole length, the wingspan from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it was 138 meters, which is 124 feet and the hole that was in the Pentagon was only 65 feet. So if you do the math, it doesn't make sense if a plane so big made such a small impact. And there are pictures to prove that there was no wreckage on site. There was no signs of an engine or a tail or any windows or luggage space. People say that it was destroyed in the fire, but yet the building itself, the items inside the building next to this hole were preserved. So how could it be that there was no wreckage found? And second of all, there was a video clip that I'll play next week. You could see something exploding by the Pentagon, where the hole exists, but you don't see a plane crashing into the building. So there's a mystery of whether if there was a plane crashing into the Pentagon, which leads us to question the whole 9/11 saga, if it was actually true, if it was actually plotted by terrorists. If the government can't even give out the real facts or give out a real report. The Pentagon had very little smoke damage or heat damage at all when the Twin Towers collapsed. Supposedly it was the steel that was too hot that made the Twin Towers collapse, going boom, 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 boom. But there are interviews and recordings of people saying that it sounded like an explosive, like a bomb went off inside the building. And if the Pentagon was caused by a fire and it caused so little damage when a plane crashed into it, how come when a plane crashed into the Twin Towers, it fell like a demolition, like a planned demolition, instead of catching fire? And there wasn't much damage to the Pentagon on the two sides. It was only the middle. And so why did the Twin Towers crash down? Okay. And there are many statements that George Bush made. Right after he found out that the Twin Towers had crashed down. So he was at a school doing a speech, and when a journalist asked him a question, what was his immediate reaction when he was at the school? He said, I saw the Twin Towers crash, but he didn't see the Twin Towers crash, he heard it. And then he made up an excuse that he saw it on the TV at the school, but there wasn't a TV in that classroom. There was no TV in front of the students for him to see. And he made a statement saying, let us not tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th, malicious lies that attempt to shift the blame away from the terrorists themselves, away from the guilty. But if you think about this, it's sort of ironic. If the government assisted with the Al-Qaeda attacks, funded and trained the Al-Qaeda to plot this attack on the United States of America, it kind of contradicts his statement. And there is one truth that has come out of this ordeal, that there is a war on freedom. But the war on freedom isn't being waged by those that they say it is. After all, how many of our freedoms, of your freedoms, have been legislated away by the Taliban or the Al-Qaeda or Saddam Hussein? Your freedoms have been legislated away by the very people who take oaths to protect your freedom. They set up rules for us to live in. There are things that we can and cannot do. There's another piece of evidence. On September the 3rd of 2001, Condoleezza Rice, the National Security Advisor of the United States of America, had stated that they had evidence that linked bin Laden to the terrorist attacks, and that they would release that evidence in due time. While America and the world are still waiting for that evidence, because no evidence was issued. No evidence was issued telling the public why Osama bin Laden was linked to the terrorist attacks. And in that time, since September 11th, America has launched 2 wars on 2 wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq based upon no evidence. Another part is the media showing and telling people that the terrorists responsible for the attacks on America. In the news, they will show a picture of a man that looks like a terrorist, and then we'll show another picture of buildings and the planes crashing into the buildings. And the public automatically think or automatically assume that the terrorists are linked with the 9/11 attacks, which is not true. So the evidence is right in front of your eyes, and I'll let you make the decision. Sorry, I didn't really, yeah.